Hello and welcome. I'm Smiley, and today we're going to be talking about everything that was not enough for me. Everything that was not enough for me. Point one, men. Growing up, I was considered the Duff. Now, if you don't know what that means, there's a movie called The Duff. I used to love it growing up, and it stands for Designated Ugly Fat Friend. It's essentially the abbreviation for the friend that is not considered attractive or the friend that nobody could ever see being in a relationship. And now, without saying it, I was that friend growing up. I was a friend that was never in the relationships, who watched all her friends get into relationships. And though I was, of course, happy for them, it definitely made me feel not so good about myself. One, it makes you feel unattractive, knowing that you're the friend that none of the boys have a crush on. And two, it made me feel super alone. Like my friends, they would have their girl talks, and every girl wants to have have the girl talks. You you want to have a boy to talk about when everybody else has a boy to talk about. You really, really want to be able to partake in those conversations. So it was really hard, never having anything to say, always being the one who was listening. And yeah, it really took a toll on me. So, of course, I wanted a boyfriend. I really wanted to have my own special person, somebody who saw me as special, who I could tell stories about, and experience what all my other friends were going through. And the relationship rolls around, but I learned really quickly, like many things that happen when you're young, they come and they go, and you realize how fleeting all of the youth that you have can be. The relationships, the friendships, all of it. So that hole was never filled. And so, men, relationships were never enough for me. And then there was money. I'm from New York City, born and raised, and money is everything here. It gets you everything here. It gets you status, it gets you love, and it gets you all the respect that you could ever want. It gets you everything. So, if you're growing up on the poor side of New York City, you're taught from a very young age to find a way, to make a way, to make something happen for yourself. So you can either climb out of the concrete jungle or to the top of it. So I thought if I grinded enough and I got smart about my money, I'd be good. And so I tried this for a period of time. I grinded and I stacked up some money for myself and I spent that money on the things that I wanted to spend it on. And for a little while there, I looked better and I felt better. But then there was something else that I wanted. And then there was something else that I wanted, and it never stopped. There's never enough stuff you can buy. And every single time I shopped more, I wanted more later on. So the money and the things were fleeting. Neither money nor relationships were enough for me. Okay, so money and relationships didn't work out. What else have you always wanted for yourself? What else have you always wanted to excel at? Grades, school. All of my life, I have always been in honors classes or AP classes, but I've always been a B-ish student in these classes. And when you're a B-ish student around a bunch of A plus students, it can really make you feel like a C minus student, okay? Um, you can end up feeling real dumb. And I did. So in high school, I grinded to get from a B-ish student to an A to A plus student. But I got to college and then it started feeling like my grades weren't even in my hands anymore. I I could do everything that I was supposed to do. Everything. My sociology professor could say something like, "I want you guys to write a paper on Karl Marx and Karl Marx alone." And I do it. And then she'd put in the comments section something about not mentioning Confucius. Like, what are you talking about? You told me Karl Marx. It's not even in the rubric to mention anybody else. And you told me not to do it. So it was like, oh, it's not, it's literally not even in my control. So the good grades that I had always aspired for and worked so hard to maintain, they didn't even fulfill me. My grades too were not enough for me. And then there is YouTube. I love you guys. And this has by far been one of the most fulfilling things that I have ever done in my life. I cannot fully put into words what I feel when I read you guys' comments. I can't fully put into words what I feel when I read you guys' comments, when I hear you guys' stories, when I talk to you guys, when I engage with you guys, when I get to catch up with you guys. I cannot fully explain what I feel as it pertains to this community. I want so much for our tiny little corner of YouTube. I want more for you guys. I want to talk more. I want to make more. I want to create more content. And I want to share more with you guys. But there is just not enough time in the day. There's just not enough time in the day for it. I have so many thoughts about so many things that I just am scrolling upon throughout my day. And I really wonder what some of you guys would think. But when you have things to do, you can't just flip your phone on and start recording and talk for 30 minutes about some conclusion that you've come to, you know? So this too, my beloved friends, is not enough for me. But do you want to know who is? Do you want to know who is enough for me? The man upstairs. The man who makes me feel most beautiful because he says I'm beautifully and wonderfully made. The man who tells me to rack up riches in heaven, where the moth does not destroy and where I will want for nothing. The man who tells me not to worry about college or grades or a job, because no matter where I go, I will always be fed and clothed. And the man that allows me to run my mouth to him about any and everything until I am blue in the face. My God is the God of gods and the Lord of lords, and he is the only one who could ever be enough. Coming from somebody who has tried to find themselves in the world and couldn't even find her reflection after dealing with it. There is nothing like Jesus. There is nothing like God. He truly is my biggest blessing. And that's why I'm sharing him with you today, because he can be yours too, if you are willing to drop the guard and let him in. And yeah, I think that that's everything. So, as per usual, I'm not going to do all that, but